Hello, everyone. It's Taryn. Thanks so much for stopping by again to Earth to Mars. This, as you can probably tell, is a different type of video. I'm thinking of starting, I guess you can call this like a segment. So I'm thinking of starting these little INTJ segments for all of my INTJs out there, just in addition to my regular content. Because, sometimes you just don't want to be on camera. You don't really feel like putting yourself together, and that is completely okay. So let me guys know how you do like these types of videos because I'm thinking of, doing a few more. So just let me know what you think about them. But this first video in the INTJ talks is going to be about being misunderstood and being misunderstood in life and just how to really navigate life as an INTJ, just knowing that you're not really, that understood. So just jumping right into it. I guess the first part that I want to talk about is, when I first knew that I was misunderstood. And this may be something that you guys can, um, you know, um, words. This may be something that you guys can relate to also. To be honest, I was first misunderstood, I guess, from birth. And what I mean by that is my mom would always tell this story about when I was born. You know how most kids, they come out of the womb kicking, screaming, crying their head off. But she said I was completely different. Like I came out and I was just so, I guess, quiet. I was just looking at the doctors like, yeah, I'm here. Hello. Like I wasn't crying. I was just so calm, which was really, I guess, perplexing for a lot of people. Even for me, when I still hear the story, I'm like, what in the world? So I guess that's the first instance of me kind of knowing that I was different. Just it all happened, from the time I was born. But then I would say during adolescence, that's when I really, was kind of conscious of me being different. I was a lot more serious than kids my age. I don't know if you guys out there, my INTJs out there, were like that also, but it's kind of weird. I was like kind of adult like as a kid. The only other kid in the house was my brother, and he was 4 years older. But other than that, like I grew up in my family house, so it was full of adults. And at first, I thought that, me being a little bit more serious for my age was due to me growing up with so many adults. But also, I think it's just more than anything, even outside of that, I really think it's just due to my personality type. And in high school, I stuck to, my solid group of friends. I wasn't really interested in school activities and, pep rallies. Like that kind of thing really bored me. And even throughout college, too. So from the outside looking in, I was a loner. I am definitely a loner even now. But just, at that impressionable age, that adolescent high school age, that's the time where you don't want to be different. That's the time where you try your hardest to really fit in with everyone. And that was really the time where I noticed that like I was really different from a lot of the kids around me. I honestly couldn't think of anyone like just in my life who was similar to the way that I was. I was a lot more serious. I was a lot more adult like, and I just didn't, I guess, find like the talking topics. What does that mean? I didn't find a lot of, I guess, things people my age were talking about to be very interesting. So I always thought something was really wrong with me. I'm not even going to lie to you. And I'm thinking back, like, even for instance, in college, like, I really tried to have school spirit, guys. Like, I seriously did. But I was just so genuinely disinterested that I just knew, like, okay, I don't think it's a people thing, it's a me thing. Something is definitely wrong with me. And some of the different ways that I were misunderstood, I remember for sure people always assume that I'm shy because I don't talk much. And that's definitely not the case. But people would assume that just because If someone's different and, they're kind of to their self, and I've always have been, pretty to myself. Even now, people assume that, you're shy. You don't really know how to talk to people. But that's not true. I know how to talk to people. I'm just kind of, I guess you could say, disinterested for the most part. Another way that people have assumed that I, another way that I've noticed I was different is that people assume that I'm also sometimes mad about something. In one of my past INTJ videos, I remember someone else saying that they had that same issue. People always thinking that, they're upset about something when, that's just usually how our face is. We're not really full of expressions. So that's another way people have really misunderstood me, thinking that I'm just angry with the world. I'm usually not. I'm just in my head. And another way that people assume that, another way people assume that I'm different is that they think I'm stuck up. Again, that's all just from, my outer appearance. I don't really seem that interested in interacting with a lot of people because I am more reserved. I am always thinking about something. So even with that, I get it. And I know that for my INTJs out there, you guys have probably had the same assumptions placed on you, even when it's definitely not the case. I know for myself that I'm just the type of person who doesn't really feel the need to talk, or say something unless I really have something to say. And I'm definitely someone who is always in my own head. And honestly, I'm just not usually paying attention to, all the outside noise going on around me. And sometimes, honestly, yes, I am just genuinely disinterested in the conversation. So, I won't really add to it. Like, I'm definitely somebody who cannot fake small talk. Like, I would rather just sit in silence rather than fill the space, with mindless talking. And I found like over the years that most people are really uncomfortable with silence, which is crazy to me. Like, I love silence, I love solitude. And a lot of people just don't get that. They don't get like my need for alone time. They don't get my need to really decompress. And I get that for my personality type and just how I am in general. I need a lot of alone time. I need a lot of space. Definitely way more, I think, honestly, even than the most introverted person. I need a lot of space to just, regroup and decompress. And if you watched my first my first INTJ video on my channel, you'll see how people assume that I'm like a robot because, I don't show many emotions. And that, honestly, I can get to because I'm very stoic in my appearance, at least to the outside world anyway. And I never saw an issue with it until I grew up and people pointed it out. But I remember even as a child, I've always been, I guess you could say, pretty Brutus like. And I don't know if you guys like read Julius Caesar in high school, but they always described Brutus as being the stone faced and, the stoic one. So I really resonated with him. But to touch on my quote lack of emotion, I, of course, I do have them. I just process them more internally than I do externally. And honestly, that's just how it goes for the majority of how I live my life. I plan things out in my head first, or I process something first before I release anything to the outside world. And I feel emotions very deeply and sometimes too deeply. But I keep it under wraps because that's what I'm most comfortable with. And one day I'll get better at that. But I think for a lot of INTJs, I've heard like the same consensus, words, the same consensus just in regards to not really showing many emotions. And especially if you're a woman, not showing many emotions, it's people just really like to make you feel othered. And they just like to place you in a box like, oh, she's a robot. Oh, she has something going on. It's just, I don't know. People just can't really wrap their heads around, I guess, women just being quiet I promise we're out here, and there's nothing wrong with it. But let's see. I guess next, how to deal with being misunderstood, because I've been dealing with this, guys, my whole life. And definitely when I was younger, I tried to change my personality. Like, I guess an identity crisis, if you will. So if you're trying to blend in, with the general public, like I call people, it won't work for you. Someone will find an issue with it, and honestly, it just won't feel right. Like, I tried to be versions of myself that I thought would be more socially acceptable, like in my younger years. Eventually, it came very exhausting, and it went against everything in my nature. And in my adolescence, I also tried to prove people wrong. Like, if they thought that I was shy, I would try to get them to see that, like, no, I'm not shy. I'm not shy at all. Like, I would try so hard to appease people and just show them that, I wasn't the way that I really was, or the way that I seemed to be. And that too became just really exhausting. Just always having to put on a front just to be accepted. And now in my adult life, like, I don't care. I don't care about that at all, because it doesn't mean anything. And eventually, the older that you get, the more you won't give a damn. And honestly, it's a beautiful feeling. You'll realize that the people who try to make you change just so they could be more comfortable, with who you are the ones who shouldn't be in your life anyway. And honestly, every person that I have in my close friend circle right now has never tried to change me or make me feel like an outcast, or has, made me feel misunderstood in any way. So just understand that you don't have to put up with that from anybody. You don't have to change for anybody, because nothing is wrong with you. So I say all that to say, I don't want to fit in. Even if I wanted to, I still wouldn't be able to. So I don't know. Growth is a really beautiful thing. And being misunderstood for sure is just part of everyone's life. But I know for myself, and once I learned I was an INTJ, it just made so much more sense. And honestly, it just gave me a feeling of relief that I wasn't as different as I thought I was, and that there are millions, okay, let's not be crazy here. There are thousands of other INTJs out there, that are going through the same things. So that's just my take on being misunderstood. Eventually, you'll just learn to not care because you're doing your own thing anyway. But if you are a younger INTJ, it can be a little difficult. I'm not even gonna lie to you. It can be really difficult having to constantly not be constantly having to be misunderstood, and people just not really getting you. But yeah, but it does get better. I promise it gets better. So that's all that I have for this INTJ talk on being misunderstood. And let me guys know if you have any other talking points that you want me to do in the future for, the next episodes that I'll be coming out with. And also just let me know how you like this type of segment. Is this something that you guys want to see? Something that you're interested in? But yeah, that's all I got for y'all. So I will see you in the next video. Bye.